Hi guys, and welcome back to the Library of Alexandria. And guys, today I reversed that. Oh my gosh, I'm so starstruck that I can't even get my own greeting correct. Today, guys, I have a treat in store for you. This is the second episode of the 256-part new series, Better Know A BookTuber. And today, the treat is that I have the man, the myth, the legend, the best in the biz, Michael Knipp, the Fighting Michael Knipp.
Hello.
He is joining us today, all the way from the Midwest, Omaha.
Well, I was gonna say Omaha. I'm in Plattsmouth. It's small.
Plattsmouth?
People could find me probably.
No one knows where Plattsmouth is.
It's true. It's outside Omaha.
Anyway, Michael Knipp, I am so excited to have you here as the second guest, part 2 of the 256-part series, Better Know A BookTuber. So, Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your channel to start with before we move into the interview questions, these hard-hitting journalistic questions that are sure to edify our audience.
First of all, I'm beyond honored to be asked to be on this second episode of Better Know A BookTuber. I started, you know what? In 2 days, it will be my 2-year BookTube anniversary. 2 years since the first day that I uploaded a video because I just started reading fiction again and I got excited and I discovered other channels on BookTube and I was like, I want to try that and do that.
Nice.
And so I've been reading popular fantasy and random other smatterings of books for 2 years now and talking about it on the internet.
That's awesome. You started to say it right there is you just started reading again, and I've heard the longer version of your journey for art and video games and reviewers and things like that. Like I know you're a huge GameSpot reviewer follower and Giant Bomb, was that the other thing?
Giant Bomb, anywhere I can find reviews for video games, yeah.
So, and I'll link that video down below where you talk about your journey from dewy-eyed child,
scarred child,
to hard-hitting journalist BookTuber here. So, what's the short version of your the 2 years ago? 2 years ago, what made you start a BookTube channel?
I had wanted to get back into reading, and I bought a Kindle on sale. And while I was making videos on a different YouTube channel unrelated to books, I discovered BookTube because I was just trying to find other small channels. I ran across the channel, The Bookish Burrow, which Donna runs that, and she's just coming back to BookTube. She took a little bit of a break, but I found that channel. I was like, talking about books on the internet, that seems really cool. And then I started getting recommended other booktubers, and I was like, oh, this is a whole thing, huh? Like, this is a scene. I wanted in once I started reading again.
Is it burrow, like where an animal lives, or burro, like a donkey? Bookish burrow.
Burrow, like a place where you hide, I think.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so gotcha. So I think what everyone wants to know now is what was this other YouTube channel that you were embroiled in prior to BookTube?
Oh my goodness. So the truth is that I have tried to make content. I've tried to be a content creator since like the day I graduated. Well, even before then. I made sketch comedy when I was in high school.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
Do you have any of the sketch comedies on film that we could see?
It's on YouTube. But
I will link it below for you, ladies and gentlemen.
And then the day after I graduated high school, I tried starting my first video game podcast because that's what I was into. And, it never went anywhere. Some friends listened to it. And through like the 10, I'm very old now, and I don't like to think about how long I've been trying to do this stuff. But the channel I made before this was a channel called WackMatters, and it was a comedy thing that I did with my brother. So let's just preface this. So if you've never watched anything from WackMatters content before, I want to establish that me and my brother have a very special relationship with a boy named Chad Freakin' Michael Freakin' Murray. We had a podcast called Life's What You Rate It, where it was just a way for us to hang out and talk together. We hadn't been able to talk a lot for various reasons. And so he moved in with me, and we were in my basement recording. We would talk about the premise of the show was we would try to go through everything in the entire world and rate it on a scale from 1 to 10.
Dude, I seriously, every time I listen to that song, I just want to like, it brings me back to my like angsty hormonal teenage days.
I don't remember you. This is what I remember Michael being angsty with. I don't remember any angst, but I do remember you dressing like Even Stevens.
Well, you know, some people's emo is another person's Disney Channel comedy.
On how good it was. We explained what each number in the scale was worth, so we didn't do this arbitrary scale bullcrap that I see so often on BookTube. No offense to all of my friends on BookTube that have awful scales. But we did really dumb jokes on this thing. We tried it for a long time. It didn't go anywhere. And I don't want to be like dark, but it was like, I've tried to make content for 15 years. This book thing is like my last shot. Maybe I'm not good at this. And then I made my BookTube channel.
Well, that's a little dark.
Yeah.
I will be researching WackMatters.
Oh, it's
after this is over. And also, what do you mean arbitrary numbers? So you're not a fan of the 5-star system?
I'm a fan of the 5-star system. I'm a fan of the 10-star system when people explain it. I think anything beyond a 10-point system is nebulous, and anyone that tries to tell you that it means something is lying. In fact, if someone uses half stars, I think they're lying to you.
Okay, well, I use half stars.
Well, we could talk about it someday, because I think that's garbage.
Why is that garbage?
1, it's a cowardly way out. Because you're just not wanting to commit. And 2, I think half stars mean very little. I will accept a 10-point scale, so I guess I have to accept half stars to some degree. But if you're going to use stars, you should probably just use a 10-point system. No, use half stars.
Why? Sometimes it's better than a 3-star book, but not quite enough to be a 4-star book.
You need to commit. That's what I say.
I do commit to the mediocrity that I found that book to be.
Half stars are the easy way out. I say just go for it.
I use 3.5 stars for books that I really liked, but that I didn't love. And then if I only kind of liked it, then I give it 3 stars. And anything below 3 is a book that I didn't like.
So that's what I'll throw a 4 on that, which is why sometimes my 4 stars get pretty like, for if you look at most of the books that I review, the average is going to be 4 stars, because if I enjoyed it but I didn't love it, it's probably going to be a 4. So it is what it is. That's the thing about BookTube, is everybody's ratings are so subjective to their own interpretation on what the number scale means that it's like the fact that you have Goodreads comparing them is really weird.
Yeah. Well, I think the star system, or especially the star system, I think the star system matters most. I think where it finds its meaning is consistency over time with a specific person. For example, if you watch my channel a lot, you know the kinds of things that I give 5 stars. You know what a 5-star means for me, a 4-star means for me, a 3.5 star means for me. I actually don't ever give anything 4.5, really. It's always 3.5. That's the only really half star that I get. That's not true. I give 2.5 too, because you think I'm a coward. You think I'm too afraid to give it a 2.
Yeah, man.
You?
Because that sounds mean when you give it a 2, but if you say 2.5, it's right in the middle of your scale, even though it doesn't feel like it.
Michael, why do you think that I'm afraid to say mean things?
I don't think that you're afraid to say mean things, but I do think that it's very common on BookTube for people to not want to drop that 2-star.
I mean, yeah, I think
it sounds mean. It does sound mean.
I agree. So, outside of BookTube, you like to play video games? What any other interests outside of, you're trying to make it big as a content creator?
If anyone has seen my Instagram stories lately, I like to listen to music.
Yes, you do.
Which is, I guess it's a weird thing. I read a statistic once that once you hit 28, you stop listening to any new music.
I read that also. I've seen that also.
I've tried hard to fight against that, because I did naturally listen to less than I used to. But I'm trying to stay up on music. I don't really watch TV or movies, so it's pretty much games, books, and music.
I got it. If you don't watch TV, you can save a lot of time. If we didn't play video games, we'd have so much time.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
So Michael, tell us about, because Leslie, when Leslie was, part one of this 256 part series, and Leslie talked about kind of what goes into her, into putting out a video, like how long she has to, how many takes she does. Like Leslie says, she edits
so more dedicated than I am, man.
An hour and a half of footage into 10 minutes. It's more than me too. But people were really interested in that, so I wanted to ask you, what goes in to filming a video for you? Between how do you record it? Do you write notes? What do you how long do you spend editing? That kind of stuff. Just tell us a normal video for you. What goes into that process?
Okay, so it depends. A lot of times I will, if it's a book review, I will finish the book and then I specifically just try to think through what are the major points that I want to talk about. I don't write anything down. I dabbled. I used to try writing some notes. There's a couple videos that I actually scripted pretty much entirely, and I try to do it that way. But I ended up sucking at reading my own scripts so badly that I might as well have just improv. It did not save me any time. So generally speaking, I'll just think about the video idea through the day, and I have to try to hype myself up. I work a regular job, and then I come home and hang out with the kids, and then I put the kids to bed. So I'm usually not starting the process until I'm pretty worn down. And then I come downstairs after I'll listen to music or something to hype myself up or watch something funny. I'm like, okay, let's go. And then I'll talk. Usually my raw footage is about double the length of what I cut it down to. And it's usually because I am formulating it as I go. I will usually say a couple sentences, pause, think, say a couple sentences, and formulate it that way. I'm decent enough at remembering what I've said and where I'm going to be able to usually make something that is going to be coherent when I smash it all down. But I do have to cut out lots of thinking time, as well as lots of, if I say a joke, sometimes I'll want to say it better or whatever.
You redo your jokes, Michael?
It depends. It really well. So here's what, a good example is it's the first time I've ever tried this was the last video that I posted that was almost like a sketch style thing.
Hold on, if you missed that last video, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy this clip that I'm inserting right here.
Talking crazy like they jaw broke, glass half empty, half full.
Hey, that's the first time I've been gift. Or turn you're like the gift master. You have Evie constantly making amazing Alan gifts.
Someone messaged me on Instagram that said it was about a restaurant in Astoria, New York. Someone used my I Hate Hipsters gift, unrelated to BookTube.
You are now GIF famous on top of just BookTube famous. So I was pretty happy that this video is the first time I've been it was actually multiple people turned it into a GIF at once, and I was getting it from multiple sides. And that video was. I watched a bunch of Elle's videos where she just makes fun of bookish articles. No. I was like, I want to kind of try to do that, but I'll put my own spin on it. I actually filmed bits. It was a 12-part article, and I only put 5 parts in the video. I filmed bits for all 12 of them, but they were not very funny, and they took so long because I tried some different costumes, and I tried different stuff, and it was oh my word, comedy is so much harder than just talking and reviewing a book. I don't know how people like Ben do it, where they're just doing sketches all the time because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with how it turned out, but I actually had written down, I was using an article, but I had planned jokes for that one that I wanted to try. But when I tried acting them into the video, I was like, this one's funny, this one's not funny, and then just cut it out.
I enjoyed that video. And also, trying something new is, on BookTube, it's always, there are the staples that are always going to do well. Yeah. And then reviews are always going to be, they always say they're evergreen. They're not going to get the most up front unless it's the new Sanderson or whatever. But, they'll kind of gain traction over time. But trying something completely new, for you or your channel is just whatever. Why not?
It was fun in that instance.
So, so normally you say that your footage is twice as long as your finished product, right?
Yeah, generally speaking, my raw footage will be 30 or 40 minutes. I'll cut it down to 15, 20.
what does your setup look like? Like, where do you film? Do you record your audio separately, correct?
Yeah, so I like to get technical or whatever. I have like the Sony, whatever the same camera you have, it's like A6400, I think.
Yeah.
Then I have a tripod that sits behind my desk that aims at my bookshelf. It's the only part of my office that's usually clean or looks half decent, is this like little frame that you can see. And then
Guys, I can see a different angle through the webcam he's using for me to see him in StreamYard.
well, and, dude, it's even worse. Like I'll have to show you later, but like we have 4 people staying in our house, and so literally the rest of this room is like clothes, and there's a guitar laying on the couch. Like it's pretty nasty.
Yes.
But like I have this frame where I just have my bookshelf. I record my audio separate with the mic that's just mounted to my desk. I mix it all together. I try to make the colors look a little better. I'm in my basement. It's not like, I don't even think the lighting's great down here. I made sure that when I bought my camera, I bought a lens that would be let me be lazy with my lighting so that it looks bright enough.
It's a great lens. I asked you when I was upgrading my camera, and I love this camera. The autofocus alone, like the autofocus alone. So, Michael, what's your favorite? Like, what are your favorite kind of videos to make? Do you like book reviews the most?
My favorite types of videos.
And what are your favorite to watch? What are your favorite to watch as well?
That can vary, and it's depending on the person, because I don't always love to watch negative reviews, but like some of my friends like Casey from Lost in a Bookcase, I love her rant reviews. They're different than regular rant reviews because she will also give like a little bit of a plot summary as she goes.
Yeah.
And so I will watch her talk negatively about anything, including something that I love, because it's funny to me. I love an in-depth spoiler review. I love like the super deep, like theory crafty reviews. I've been enjoying more of the sketch stuff that people have been doing lately. I will always watch a book review for a book that I like, though, no matter who it is.
So you started 2 years ago. So you're class of 2019, BookTuber?
Yeah.
Wow. Class of 2019. You're above me. Like you're the upperclassman. I'm class of 2020. Just like Leslie. It seems like the class of 2021, there's a lot of sketches and skits coming out of the class of 2021.
I've been loving it. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like the man carrying thing, Ben, Luke when he was doing it. Like I was loving all of that stuff.
So, what is your favorite and least favorite part of BookTube? Either the process or what? I mean, is the community your favorite part? Because that's what everybody always says. It's true.
Everyone always says the community is the favorite part, because it's like I now have friends that I talk to all the time, and it's not even just about books. Like in the Discord, I was talking about some dude. I found an article this morning where this lady threw tacos at her mom, and she got charged with assault and battery, and it was like a whole thing. It was like
God.
I was like, I have to talk about this with my friends. They watched like there's watch parties that go on in my Discord semi regularly where they're just watching anime, which I don't know if I can approve of that or not, but it's kind of cool that it exists.
Michael does not approve of weeb things, as you will learn. I will say that I don't really ask what's your favorite part, because everyone's going to say the community.
Yeah.
But I will say that Michael has the second friendliest Discord on the internet. It's the second friendliest place to be besides my Discord,
which is a great Discord.
Michael has a great Discord as well, so I will definitely take my hat off to him. What's your least favorite part? It could be the process. It could be something else about it.
I mean, like ignoring that when real drama pops up, because we've engaged in a bit of fake drama, I will say, and I've loved that stuff.
I hope no one here thinks that Michael and I have real beef with each other. We are both prone to hyperbole. My video telling Michael he was wrong is just a hyperbolic response to his already hyperbolic video.
Yeah, like not to go back to that video too far, but it's like the whole video I was arguing a contradiction with myself, and I stated it at the beginning, and some people didn't pick up on it. I was like, okay, I don't have beef with anybody. I'm trying to make one point by looking like an idiot. Anyway, so aside from like real drama, which sometimes crops up on BookTube, sometimes I'll be honest, sometimes at the end of the day, I had a migraine, whatever. Sometimes I just don't want to make a video, but I feel like if I want my channel to not completely go under, I'll just have to make a video anyway. And that can be rough. Or, I'm staying up and editing super late. I enjoy the entire process from sitting down to make the video, planning the video, and doing it. But sometimes it's just a lot with a lot of other things going on. Like, there's people that don't like editing. I love editing. I don't always want to do it because sometimes it's 2:00 in the morning, but I want the video to be out there. So
Do you edit in double speed?
it depends on the video. And also I have to be very careful because once I get past a certain point, I struggle with narcolepsy and I'll just like wake up with my face on the keyboard. So I got to be like very intentional with the way that I edit and in balancing that with drinking too much caffeine,
I gotcha. And you use Premiere Pro, right, to edit?
Yeah, I use all the Adobe stuff because
Did you have to teach yourself, or did you just know it from like school or something?
Oh no, I had to teach myself. I figured if I was going to try to like do BookTube, I might as well learn some like semi-industry standard tools. So if I were to ever try to go somewhere, do something else with it, I would at least know the tools a little bit, whatever.
That's good thinking. And you use Photoshop for your thumbnails? You got some quality thumbnails, Michael.
Thank you.
I'm jealous of your thumbnails sometimes.
I love making thumbnails. Yeah. That's something that I hear a lot of booktubers say that they don't love to do. I love putting like a video on and just making and sometimes I spend a lot of time on it, sometimes I don't. Same. But it's so fun to me. I would, if somebody just wanted me to make thumbnails for videos, I would do that.
That's awesome. I bet there would be people who would take you up on that. Like if you offered that as like a service, I bet people would
it's so
take
fun.
you up on it. Because I also know people that hate it. I like it.
Yeah.
It can take. If I'm
yours have like costumes and stuff. Like you go hard, man. I'm more likely to just Photoshop my face on someone else's costume. You actually will build it.
I don't have Photoshop, so I have to.
What do you use? Canva?
I use Canva Pro, yeah. Because my wife owns her own business, so she uses Canva to make like flyers for the school and stuff. So I just piggybacked on that.
Have you ever tried GIMP?
Do what?
Have you ever tried GIMP?
Yes, that's ridiculous. I'll use Photoshop before I use GIMP. GIMP's impossible. It's so user-unfriendly.
GIMP is just like the free, non-intuitive version of Photoshop.
Yes, it's non-intuitive.
I made myself use GIMP before I switched to Photoshop, and
I hate it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. Like it was a lot to learn, but I enjoyed like eventually knowing how to use it. And then when I switched to Photoshop, I'm like, why the frick? This is so much better. This is why they charge for it. It's so much better. Oh my goodness.
I looked into, I don't really have time right now to switch my editing program, even though I want to edit in double speed. That would save me a ton of time.
Yeah.
But I don't have time to learn something new right now in the middle of the school year. But I looked into the Adobe. It's so expensive, Michael.
Well, so the thing is that I don't feel like you should ever pay full price for it. There's educated price.
Even the sale for educators is still like
yeah,
$30 or $40 a month. Is a lot of money.
It was the #1 reason I started a Patreon for real.
It's expensive.
Yeah, the main reason I started Patreon was I wanted to be able to cover the Adobe suite.
That makes sense. So, one more question before we get to the stuff that the inquiring minds want to know. The more personal questions that we're going to delve into. But who is your favorite author? Who's your favorite fantasy author, or a couple? Give me a couple of your favorite authors right now that you like to read.
So Brandon Sanderson is like, he's the one I talk about on the channel the most. It's hard now because I've been reading so many different books, and I used to deep dive an author. When I was a kid, that's how I read books. I would read all the same books by the one author.
Dude, same.
Now I don't do that, and so I haven't read, like, I love the Dresden Files. It took me a long time to get to the point where I could say that, honestly, but I now love the Dresden Files, but I've never read anything else by Jim Butcher except for the Dresden Files. I'll probably say I love Blake Crouch because I've enjoyed all of his books that I've read, which is quite a few now.
In order to read Blake Crouch, ladies and gentlemen, because I am on the last 50 pages of Recursion currently, in order to read and enjoy Blake Crouch, you must set your really at the door. You cannot bring the word really into a play because the premise is already, it's like, okay, I'm with you.
It's the equivalent of watching an explosive summer movie.
A Roland Emmerich, right? Isn't that the guy that did all the 90s disaster movies, right? Wasn't that him?
I don't know anything about movies, but sure.
Anyway, yeah, it's a summer disaster movie. But the thing is, the already strained premise that you're like, okay, I accept this. Like a third of the way through, the premise is already busted, and then it gets more ridiculous, then more ridiculous.
You're reading Recursion. I loved Recursion. It just kept going.
No, I know. That book should have ended twice, Michael. It should have ended twice. It's freaking Return of the King.
Oh, no.
I completely agree. I'm with you. I am with you. Yeah, Roland Emmerich directed Independence Day, Day After Tomorrow.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm with you. But they are ridiculous, Michael.
Oh, they okay. The book that got me back into fiction was his Wayward Pines trilogy. And first of all, horrible naming scheme. The first book is called Pines, the second book is called Wayward, and the third book is called The Last Town. Anyway,
that's not great.
Those books are they're a whole thing. And yes, you do have to shut your brain off in some ways and turn them on in other ways because there's some fun sci-fi concept exploration. But like
it's magic.
It's
magic.
It's like
magic.
Just on the line. It's on the line. I want to believe that science is more fun than it really
Michael,
is.
You've read Recursion. It's magic.
Recursion is so fun. But yeah, he's not very good with characters, but he's really good about keeping you turning pages. Yeah. So I love reading Blake Crouch,
he writes
even
like
though
a screenwriter, and he is a screenwriter. He writes like
and like it's not my favorite for every single aspect, but I don't know favorite authors other than like.
That's fine. I mean, you said.
Yeah, I'll keep with that.
Yeah, you said currently Butcher, Crouch, and Sanderson. Yeah. Okay, so I actually have one more question because you brought it up when you're talking about. I forget what you brought it up. You brought it up before you started talking about this, because Joanna actually had a video today, kind of talking more about what we were talking about with how you're affected by other things. Like, how has BookTube affected your reading? Like, do you think being on BookTube is... Oh, you were saying you used to deep dive into authors. Well, being on BookTube almost prevents you from being able to do that because otherwise you're a this author channel. You know what I mean? Like, if you're just reading... I have to be careful. I keep reading Adrian Tchaikovsky. I'm about to be an Adrian Tchaikovsky channel if I'm not careful.
Yeah.
So has BookTube changed your habits other than that?
Completely. So I used to not only dive into an author, but I would just read a series front to back. And because I don't want my channel, I don't want people who like my channel for one reason to be like, well, he's reading the Wheel of Time now, I'm going to check out for 4 months or whatever. Like, I don't want to just read all the Wheel of Times back to back. So before, I would just read a series front to back. I'd read an author's extra series, and that's how I would go about it. These days, I try to mix up my reading to make it interesting for other people that are watching me, which it is different, but it's also, I've been able to start more series that way, and it's also... Before, I would probably finish series that I don't care about as much just because I started them. Now, there are some times where I will read a book like maybe The Poppy War. It's like, this is not for me. I have no reason to finish this one.
So you're saying that you used to actually finish series?
I used to actually finish series.
Okay, as opposed to now.
The one thing I will say is I finished The Cosmere in about a year while reading other books, but you can see that I have reviews for pretty much everything in The Cosmere. I read that in 1 year.
How long did it take you to read Jade War?
Frick. Jade War was a little bit of an anomaly on my channel because it did take me probably around 2 months if you include the day that I started the book.
Let's include the time that you said you were going to read it. Let's include that in there.
Well, then, probably like a year, which is funny because I've only been around for 2 years. So the problem was that Jade War is one of those books that literally everyone that I know loved it. And I enjoyed Jade City.
Klaus didn't love it. He said it was good for what it was, but it's just not his thing.
Okay, I need to go watch that review then, because up to that point, everyone that I was close to talked about how good it was.
Yeah, same.
And then I read it, and not only was I so bored, but it was like the author she wrote an outline and she said, here's the parts I want to have happen. And she just like went for it in between. She's like, I don't know how I'm going to get from A to B. So just people will walk around, and I was like, I can't do this. Why is this so loved?
It is. Someone tried to tell me it wasn't slow the other day, Jade City. I'm like, I don't think that's correct. It is definitely slow. Anyway, Michael, let's move on to the second portion of the interview. All right?
Okay.
This question comes in from someone named Amanda, I think. Which child is your favorite?
Oh, you know, the right answer is that no one can have a favorite child. I was talking about this the other day. I said I don't have a favorite child, but if I'm doing certain things, I enjoy having different children with me.
How many children do you have, for those who don't know?
I have 4 children, ages 5, 4, 1, and
less than 1.
Less than 1. And they are all enjoyable in different ways at different times. My son is a freaking video game addict already, which I'm not proud of, but I am kind of proud of.
Yeah.
So like he'll play games with me. My daughter is 5 and she's the most helpful member of the family that's not an adult. So she can do all kinds of stuff. She loves arts and crafts, so I can, do that stuff with her. Tessa, who I believe that in our conversations personally we refer to as Tesla.
I literally didn't know who you were talking about moments ago.
Yeah, so Tessa has a fan club in my Discord.
Really?
Because people are convinced that she is going to usurp the family throne when she grows up and like start her own empire, which is probably true. She is a plotter and she's a handful.
She created electricity and wanted to make it free.
And she's played by David Bowie.
I applaud her.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on then. That's good equivocation. So, next question comes in. Why is To Sleep in the Sea of Stars your book of the year of 2020?
To Sleep in a Sea of Stars was awesome. To Sleep in a Sea of Stars is one of my greatest regrets on my channel, because I've made the joke ever since I started that my channel was full of lies. But when To Sleep in a Sea of Stars was announced, as someone that did like the Aragon series, I spent more than one video, maybe like up to 5 videos hyping that book. I hyped a buddy read. I was super excited to get it. The cover was announced. It was amazing. The audiobook narration was announced to be the female shepherd from Mass Effect. And I was like, this book is going to be so good.
That's awesome. So with all that hype, tell us what you loved most about it, since it was your book of the year. Clearly through all that hype.
So the thing I loved most about To Sleep in a Sea of Stars is with the in-depth discussions that I was able to have with the few friends that I have that were able to finish it, because it's deep. There's a lot going on. With the few friends that I was able to have deep discussions with it, I have potentially never laughed about a book more.
Because you were talking about how good it was.
I was talking about how it was going so hard.
What does that even mean, Michael?
Someday we will have a discussion about To Sleep. The problem is no one has read the book, but nobody wants to be spoiled either. But the book ends in such a magnificently unexpected way that it made me rethink the premise of the entire book, and then it made me rethink. I wouldn't go that far. I would say that it is let's say the worst book that I've read in a very long time. And it was even like offensive to me in ways that I didn't think that I cared. And then when it ended, I truly, legitimately, how bad do I want to go about on this bit? I questioned Tor's integrity, because they knew that if Paulina released another book, it was going to sell because it was the Aragon guy.
Yeah.
They put out a book that they knew was awful. I'm convinced. There's no one on earth that read that book that was like, oh, look at the thing. No, it's so freaking tragic on so many levels.
So you're saying that the deep state put out To Sleep in a Sea of Stars.
You know what? I have read conspiracy theories that make more sense than the ending of that book.
And Tor's decision to publish it.
And Tor's decision to publish it as it was.
Michael, I hate to see the other books that you read because it sounds like you didn't like To Sleep in a Sea of Stars at all, and yet it was your book of the year last year, 2020.
I did have a faux BookTube award, and it did win one of them, but it was just most disappointing, actually.
I will link Michael's review for that book down there. Okay. So
I didn't
Michael,
think that was a rant review, but someone told me that it was because they said that it was impossible for that review to not be a rant review. I think there were some statements that I made that were very objective sounding with how awful it was, and they were like, there's no way you could possibly say that and not say it's a rant review.
I think a rant review is any negative review where someone gets worked up. Like if you're worked up at all, which you are in that video, I think it's a rant review. If it's a negative review. All right. Okay. So Michael, I've got a series of questions here. All right, and I want you to answer agree or strongly agree. Okay.
Okay.
Those are the only two choices I have on here. So agree or strongly agree. All right.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay. Agree. Strongly agree.
Right. Brandon Sanderson is an excellent fantasy author.
Strongly agree. Yeah.
Right, strongly agree. Jesse McCartney's "What If I Missed You" is a great song.
Strongly agree.
All right, strongly agree. The Nintendo Switch is an enjoyable gaming console.
Strongly agree.
Strongly agree. Video games are not and will never be art.
I'm gonna have to go with agree. Video games are not art.
Because why not? Why not strongly agree there?
Video games are not art. But well, the thing is that with any medium where you can interact with it at all, whether it had to be programmed by creators or whether there had to be art designed by artists or music designed by musicians or anything, if the player is able to interact with it at all, it is impossible for there to be any sort of narrative experience, and thus it can never be an artistic endeavor. Video games are not art.
All right. No, I think I heard a wise man named Roger Ebert opine on that at one point.
He told me that, and he said it with a lot more words. He's very eloquent.
He was. Okay, all right, good. I thought this was going to be more difficult than it was. Agree. All right. I mean, you obviously don't strongly agree with it, but you do agree to some extent. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Video games are not art. Frick that take. That's so freaking stupid. Yeah, that would be a rant review, just me going off on how stupid that take is. Frick.
So when you were a teenager, you were not a fan of Roger Ebert saying that.
I didn't know who he was, and then all of a sudden I thought he was the stupidest person on earth. And I've since had to come around to be like, oh, evidently he was this. Okay, I have a Letterboxd. If you look up Michael Knipp on Letterboxd, you can find that I have a Letterboxd account where I have listed every single movie that I've ever seen. The list is, I've been told, embarrassingly small. Because I know nothing about movies. I have movies that I like, but I didn't know who Roger Ebert was, nor did I care, but I suddenly hated him a lot. Video games are not art.
I remember that take as well, but I was in college and...
Oh my. I've only gotten angrier at the take as I've grown to love games more, so...
So, Michael, would you rather read the Stormlight Archives as written by Jim Butcher, or the Dresden Files as written by Brandon Sanderson? And why?
That's a hard one. I would probably rather read... I would probably rather... Stormlight by Butcher would... And this is all based on the Dresden Files. It would bring a different tone to the series that I'm not sure I'm ready for, but I don't think Brandon could... frick. Maybe it would be. Why do you ask such hard questions? This is the hardest one you've asked so far.
I know.
Stormlight by Jim Butcher. Final answer. I'm sure that's the wrong answer. I'm sure we're going to take heat for that.
I bet. Let Michael know if you agree with that take.
He would write it. He would write it in shorter chunks, probably. It would be more digestible.
Are there plenty of female characters, attractive female characters in Stormlight that can be?
There would be a lot more. and like one of the criticisms that some people who have issues, I think, they have with the Stormlight Archive is that it's not horny enough.
Talking crazy like they jaw broke. Glass half empty, half full.
Butcher would probably fix that problem.
That's a criticism?
As people on the internet, they have problems, and they want to have their problems solved in other ways.
I'm glad that that's a criticism, because I need more of the stuff that I read to be less randy.
You know what? I love Brandon Sanderson, and I love the Cosmere, but I do not want to have him writing the Dresden Files and giving me the freaking specifics of how the magic works in Dresden Files. That would be so... I love Brandon. I love his hard magic systems. I don't want to hear that in Dresden. That would be so freaking stupid.
Michael, were you aware that if you throw down a coin and you push off of it, you burn steel and push off of it, you can... Or maybe iron. I forget which one is push and which is pull.
Someone popped into my Discord once, and they were like, I'm having a hard time reading through Mistborn because I don't want to forget what the metals do. And I'm like, oh, just keep reading. There's no need for you to remember that stuff. He literally says it every time.
There is no way it is possible to forget while reading.
Oh, my
Afterwards,
goodness.
maybe, but not while reading.
It was Murphy Napier recently had the funny dig, which was that Brandon Sanderson loves his world building and magic systems more than she did, and I think that I tend to agree. I love them,
but he really
but
loves them.
I don't need it all. I love it all explained. The Stormlight is so good, but I don't need it all the time.
All right, Michael. Okay, moving on. This one comes from. I don't know where this question comes from, but
Oh, okay.
What is it about me that makes me your favorite booktuber?
See, you asked that question facetiously, but also you have become like this freaking. It's gonna get all weird for a second. You've become one of my closest friends on the internet, so like it is weird to have it be jokey because I think we have become friends, and it's been weird because we were a stranger.
This question's better served for like people I barely know.
Yeah, we were like strangers a year ago, and now I talk to you like multiple times a week, and it's like, are your videos my favorite to watch? Well, not if you're saying stupid things about books that I love, but also you are one of my best friends, so it's like, well,
we are currently playing through Dark Pictures Anthology, Man of Medan, and playing it co-op online. The beginning is just these two beefy dudes in tank tops, and the controls are tank controls. We're like running in each other in this ship's hallway.
narrow hallways, trying to squeeze around each other,
bumping chests with our tank tops on. So, all right, Michael, who is a booktuber that you would like to better know on this channel, that you would like to see better known on this channel? I'm gonna write this down.
Who did Leslie say?
Jake Bishop. Who would you like to see on this show in this format?
I say get the guys from Codex Cantina. They're some of the first friends that I made here. They do such good like literary breakdowns of like serious books, and they do tags and stuff, and I don't feel like, and maybe it's because I don't maybe they want to keep their personal life separate, but also when they sit down and do fun videos, they make great fun videos. And I think that sometimes people don't realize that about them. Mm-hmm. Like they run like a literary Discord, and like they're always talking about serious stuff. But also, I've talked to Una a lot on the side, and he's just a fun, awesome dude.
How is it that you talk to Una when Una has weeb tendencies as well.
Well, I didn't realize that at first.
Oh, okay.
And then afterwards,
Same thing with me. Same thing with me.
Yeah.
You did not realize I was a weeb until
Yeah.
after. I gotcha.
The problem is I become friends with these people, and then you realize, and there's baggage. It's like, what do I do now? It's like,
They want to talk to you about anime and JRPGs.
I'm like, oh, frick, yeah.
How dare they? Well, Michael, that is the final question that I have for you. Do you have any final words for your audience? Maybe pitch your channel again to come, come check you out. You got anything in the pipeline? Anything fun?
I want to try to make some funnier videos here coming up. I in theory am going to start reading some Joe Abercrombie, which I've been trying to do, but I did. You know what? Here's the thing. I can't get off Patrick Rothfuss and the King Killer Chronicles. So I talked about that series, and I kind of just want to make a bunch more videos about Dresden and Rothfuss, even though I finished those books a long time ago. And I'm reaching the point where I've been trying to move on for so long, and I can't, and I'm about to say screw it. I'm just going to keep talking about these series because I have more to say, and some of it is going to be nice, and some of it may not be nice, but I have to get it off my chest. Maybe that's why I can't pick up another book right now, because there's more that needs to come out.
Your King Killer video is you're literally watching the unraveling of a man's sanity.
And I still haven't talked spoilers. Like, there's that, and then I have so many things going through my head about that series that I can't, because I finished Dresden and King Killer with what's available back to back. Yeah. I have been in a weird I can't pick anything else up slump, which I think means that I just need to go harder on them, which could be really weird.
Look, you make King Killer videos, I will watch them, because as you know, I love King Killer and agree with where is this going? Like
it's not just where is it going, like how did we get here? There's so many thoughts that I have about the King Killer Chronicles and Patrick Rothfuss as an author and the Dresden Files that I mentioned doing spoiler deep dives for those videos, and I might just sit on those subjects for a little bit. Thank you for having me. I am honored to be on the show and to follow Leslie, who's one of my good friends, one of my first friends on the platform that's still here. Yeah.
So guys, right there at the end, right, as Michael was talking about Patrick Rothfuss, my camera actually died. And when I replaced the battery, I don't know if I just didn't hit record for the outro or whatever. So that's why there's no actual outro from that video. I am so glad that it happened right there at the end. Apparently, I just didn't hit record again when I put the new battery in. But guys, this has been Michael Knipp. I am so thankful that he was willing to be a guest on part 2 of the 256-part series, Better Know a BookTuber. Please, if you have not checked him out, check him out at the link below at his channel, Michael Knipp. Guys, that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching. As always, information about my Patreon and Discord is down in the description. And if there's a booktuber that you would like to be better known, let me know down there as well. Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.
It brings me back to my, angsty, hormonal teenage days.
I don't remember you... This is what I remember Michael being angsty with. I don't remember any angst, but I do remember you dressing like Even Stevens.
Well, some people's emo is another person's Disney Channel comedy.